The next structures we're going to be discussing are the sphincters and the valves, which we're going to draw in black. There are 5 that we're going to take a look at. And so what we'll do is we'll just go to our original picture and lay it on there. Can you see me well? Yep, I can move over closer. That's good. All right, the first sphincter I want you to pay attention to is one that isn't labeled in your book specifically in any of the pictures that I've seen. It is a really important one though. It is right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw like a circle. I don't know, right here. This right here is a sphincter that is called the lower esophageal sphincter. Oftentimes it's also called the cardiac sphincter. So the lower esophageal sphincter or the cardiac sphincter. What is going on with these black markers, yo? It's terrible. Look at this.
Yeah, that's not good.
Okay, so the lower esophageal sphincter, the cardiac sphincter. This is an incredibly important sphincter. So let's talk about what a sphincter is for a moment. We already have looked in lecture, we've looked at our precapillary sphincters, remember? We have a smooth muscle that surrounds the base of a tube, yes? It infers that things can only go in one direction. Basically closes and makes sure there's no backflow. This sphincter is really important for people who have acid reflux, where the very strong acids in the stomach sometimes damage, they go back up and damage the esophagus. Sometimes what the problem is that this sphincter is non-functional for whatever reason, or it's not closing all the way, for example. So the lower esophageal sphincter or the cardiac sphincter keeps those acids inside of the stomach and doesn't let them backflow up into the esophagus, which can be damaging to the very delicate mucosa of the esophagus. All right. The next sphincter is this one right here. It is called the pyloric sphincter. The pyloric sphincter, pyloric sphincter. P-Y-L-O-R-I-C, pyloric sphincter. And again, smooth muscle surrounding this structure right here. Who can tell me what this organ is? It is the stomach. Who can tell me what this part of this organ is? The duodenum of the small intestine. So the pyloric sphincter closes off and ensures that only a small amount of food at a time moves from the stomach and into the small intestine. And so basically it opens up for just a moment, lets a little bit of acidic food through, and then closes right away again, so that the small intestine can process just a little bit of foodstuffs at a time. That's the idea behind the pyloric sphincter. All right, moving on. We are going to make our way all the way through the small intestines to right here. This is a valve actually, but it does act a lot like a sphincter. This is called the ileocecal valve.
I'm gonna get you new markers. I think you need some new markers. Do you have any?
Like I said, this is the 3rd one I've tried. I don't know
why
what's
are they
going
not
on.
working?
So the ileocecal valve, and this one actually, if you look in these, if you want to remove the door here, you can take a look inside of this gross anatomy structure. I don't know if you want to video this. You can actually see the ileocecal valve right here. And what it is, it's actually right in the name. It is a passage between the ileum of the small intestine, which is the last part of the small intestine, and the cecum of the large intestine, which is the first part of the large intestine. So the ileocecal valve is between the ileum and the cecum. Ileocecal valve. The next one we're going to take a look at is going to be right here. A small ring of smooth muscle. Did I already use this one? Did I already try this one?
Oh.
It's a small ring of smooth muscle. This one's going to be called the internal anal sphincter. I'm not even going to write it. you know how to spell it. Internal anal, I can't write it. I have no way to write it. So the internal anal sphincter, and so what the internal anal sphincter is made of smooth muscle, same as our other sphincters, and therefore it is involuntary. And once your rectum is filled with waste product, filled with feces, you defecate. However, of course, we have voluntary control over when we defecate. So we have another set of muscles which surrounds it, and it's called the external anal sphincter. Well, I'm just going to have to use a different color. I don't know. It's going to be basically around here and here. Now the external anal sphincter is made of skeletal muscle. It is voluntary, so you get to control the timing of your defecation, you know, after your toilet train, basically. So your internal anal sphincter, involuntary, smooth muscle. The external anal sphincter, which is around that, is made of skeletal muscle. It is voluntary, and therefore you have two levels of control over your defecation.